Cowboys Nation, what is going on? I'm your host, Big Country, and welcome to the channel. Tonight, folks, I'm coming on here with some news regarding the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, and Stephen Jones. Now, the thing is, if you've been keeping up with things, Stephen Jones in the last few days has come out, made some, complimentary remarks regarding Trey Lance, was very high on him, and, essentially said, he's got a strong arm, he's very, very mobile, and also went on to say that he works as hard as Dak Prescott, okay? He practices just as hard as him, essentially, and, he was high on the young man, okay? You got to factor in Trey Lance is only 23 years old. Dak Prescott is 30, going on 31 years old at this point. He's also in the final year of his contract, and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes right now, but it seems like the PR games have officially started, okay, between the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, and his agent. And we've seen this a few years ago, too, and Dak Prescott eventually ended up, him and his agent, winning that battle between the PR side of things, but I don't know if that's going to be the case this time around. And, I feel like Dak is, starting to stand his ground a little bit. He's come out, and you can see right here, coming from NFL.com, he's come out and said, I don't fear playing with another team. I feel like that is a very, very bold statement, okay? That's kind of letting Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones know that, hey, if you want to move on from me, okay, if you think you can do better, so be it. I'll go somewhere else. But at the same time, okay, as a Cowboys fan, I've been a Cowboys fan for 30-plus years. Me personally, okay, I would have never paid Dak Prescott the kind of money that he got to begin with based on his demands at that time. You got to understand, Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones a few years ago tried to get him to do a long-term deal. The reason why the Dallas Cowboys are in the position in which they are in right now is because Dak Prescott did not want to do a long-term deal with the Dallas Cowboys, okay? His goal, I feel like, from the very get-go, okay, as someone who kept up with it in depth, was to get a 4-year deal and get back out on the market as soon as possible, okay? If that wasn't the case, then why did he not do a 6-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys, okay? I think it's pretty clear at this point, the goal was, and always has been, to get as much money as you could get and make, okay? And other quarterbacks in the NFL, they've not necessarily went that route. Patrick Mahomes, for example, done a 10-year deal with the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts, just recently done a 5-year extension there with the Eagles. And you can go on and on and on. Josh Allen, these other quarterbacks, yes, they're getting a lot of money, but they're doing long-term deals with their teams. And when you factor that in, please understand, it gives those teams more wiggle room. And Dak Prescott did not do that for the Dallas Cowboys. In fact, he turned down a $30 million offer. He turned down a $33 million offer based on reports. And it was even rumored back then that he was wanting, $40 million. Now, him and his agent come out and pretty much, said that that wasn't the case. They pretty much downplayed the Jane Slater report. But right here you can see it in 2019. Dak Prescott reportedly turned down $30 million. And then right here in the article, he was wanting, according to reports from Jane Slater and others, $40 million annually. Okay, he was wanting to be paid back then like he was Patrick Mahomes. That was the kind of money Patrick Mahomes had got paid, and he was wanting to get paid like that. Why? Because of his rookie season, what he had did. There's only one problem. In 2019, he was coming off of a bad year, I feel like, the year before. And even in 2017, he didn't have the greatest season. I mean, when you look at his stats, okay, this is just calling it the way it is. Dak Prescott in 2017, 2018, didn't play the greatest, okay? The offense struggled with him. He was also very inaccurate. He had 13 interceptions, as you can see right there in 2017. Like we've seen in 2022, he led NFL interceptions. He had 15 then. He was very inconsistent, very inaccurate. That went on back then, okay? And he was trying to get paid like he's Patrick Mahomes, okay? He's wanting to get paid more money than Carson Wentz. He's wanting to, make more money than him. But when you look at Carson Wentz stats back in 2017 and 18, Carson Wentz had smoked Dak those 2 years. As you can see right here, Carson Wentz had 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. 2018, he missed a few games because he was injured, had 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Still better than Dak overall. And then 2019, look at that. Now, the Cowboys, what they ended up doing, because Dak was struggling so bad and their offense was struggling so bad with Dak, they went out there and they traded for Amari Cooper. And then Amari Cooper all of a sudden really made Dak look a lot better, I feel like, than what he was. The same thing we have seen Amari Cooper do for the Cleveland Browns. Amari Cooper, the last 2 years after being traded for a fifth-round pick, has had over 1,000-yard seasons both years. And he's done it a lot with backup quarterbacks because Deshaun Watson hasn't always been out there. Meanwhile, the Cowboys traded Amari Cooper, okay, it is what it is, for a fifth-round pick. And I just thought that was bonkers when the Cowboys did that, okay, but there was rumors out there that Amari Cooper, okay, one of the reasons why, hey, it is what it is, rumor-based why they traded him was because he called Dak Prescott the Black Kirk Cousins, okay, and you can see it's all over the internet still. There was a lot of people on YouTube talking about it. Just kind of crazy stuff. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I do know this. After this report, these rumors came out, Amari Cooper got traded, okay, and he went to the Cleveland Browns. And then shortly after that, Dak Prescott come out. He was talking about Michael Gallup. If y'all remember, Michael Gallup was his buddy. He wanted Michael Gallup to get paid, okay. Mind you, Michael Gallup was coming off of a bad injury at that time, okay, coming off of a bad injury. And I said, it don't make no sense. Don't pay Michael Gallup. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys, because Dak wanted to keep Michael Gallup, they gave him a big bunch of money. Okay, so what we're seeing here now is potentially two different receivers that were impacted because of Dak Prescott, what he wanted, okay, potentially. And you got to factor that in because I feel like it goes all the way back to Dez Bryant, what the Dallas Cowboys did with Dez Bryant. Now, Dez Bryant, his career ended because he tore his Achilles after the Cowboys moved on from him. But he was also blamed, okay, he was blamed for back when Dak Prescott was struggling. You can't make this stuff up, okay, you can't make this up. Just like Scott Linehan got blamed when he was struggling, lost his job as the OC. Then Kellen Moore got blamed, lost his job as the OC. And every year, when you look at Dak Prescott's stats, the only years that he has had good years is when he's had two number one receivers, Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation. Two number ones. Okay, and he's had decent stats those years. Okay, and in 2021, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb both. CeeDee Lamb's a top 3 receiver. Okay, we know that now because of what he did this past year, 2023. And Dak had Brandon Cooks in 2023. Okay, it's just absolutely bonkers. When you look at his numbers, when you look at his stats, his 3 best years have came when he's been loaded at the receiver position, okay? Had more help than almost any other quarterback in the NFL. On top of that, Dan Quinn, when Dan Quinn took over, Dan Quinn really helped him pad his stats. Now, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys defense here, okay, in 2021, they led the NFL in total takeaways. Why is that significant? It means that Dak Prescott had more second and third chances than any other quarterback in the NFL. In fact, the second quarterback that had a lot of chances was the Colts quarterback there at that time, okay, if y'all remember, okay. He was one behind, okay, Dak Prescott. And if I remember right, I think Carson Wentz was the quarterback at that time. Then there was the Buffalo Bills. But when you look on down here, okay, look at all these other quarterbacks from these other teams. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, right? Yeah, it is what it is. Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo. It is what it is. Just look at these different quarterbacks down through here, okay, for these other teams. Did they get that many opportunities to pad their stats? 14, 15 extra opportunities? No, they did it. Okay, so I think when you factor in all things, between the amount of help Dak's had, between the takeaways the defense gave him, Dan Quinn's defense led the NFL in takeaways for multiple years. That's why has enabled him to put up the numbers he's put up the last 3 years. And, I mean, in 2022, the 1 year he didn't have 2 number ones, he still had CeeDee Lamb out there. But the 1 year he didn't have 2 number ones, he throws 15 interceptions, okay, and only 23 touchdowns, okay. And he looked this season right here in 2022 looked very familiar. It looked like the 2017-2018 seasons, didn't it? Okay, so it's a pattern. I feel like Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones have seen it now. Okay, they have seen Dak Prescott struggle time and time again when he if he doesn't have at least 2 number ones, he's not got the ability to elevate an offense. Okay, he doesn't. He doesn't do it with his legs. He can't elevate an offense with his legs like Jalen Hurts can take over a game with his legs. Like Lamar Jackson can take over a game with his legs. Okay. Dak can't do it. Dak can't take over a game with his legs. He can extend plays, yes, but he can't take over a game with his legs. Okay, he just can't. And I think Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, they see the writing on the wall, especially after what they have experienced, okay, in the playoffs the last few years with Dak. Dak being one of the biggest weaknesses of the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. The guy they're paying all the money to, the one that says, I don't fear playing with another team. Well, I'll tell you what, okay, Dak Prescott may not fear playing for another team, but if he keeps on talking like this, on top of what's going on behind the scenes right now, I mean, my goodness, Fan Nation, I mean, we're talking about, he's in some legal issues right now, having some legal troubles behind the scenes, okay? I mean, over sexual harassment, supposedly. Now, whether it's true or not, we don't know. But if you type in Dak Prescott sexual harassment, okay, it is what it is, or sexual assault. The case is out there. Now, we don't know what's going to happen regarding this allegation, okay, of rape or whatever. But this is also something Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, and the Cowboys have got to worry about. Because you don't want to be in a situation where you hurt your brand, where you hurt your fan base, okay, by maybe keeping a player that ends up getting in trouble, okay, over all this. Because you don't know what's going to happen, okay? And we also, at the same time, we got to give Dak Prescott the benefit of the doubt that he's not done anything, okay? We have to, at least acknowledge that he's got his side of the story too, just like the woman that is essentially accusing him of of these things. But you can't just come out and say she's lying either, okay? The court system's got to, let stuff play out, and we got to see what happens there regarding that. Now, Trey Lance, we know what Trey Lance brings to the table. Trey Lance is 23 years old. As of right now, he's younger than most quarterbacks that are going to be in the 2024 NFL draft, okay? He's going to be younger than a lot of those QBs. Okay, because he was drafted by the 49ers that young. He's also got a bigger arm than Dak Prescott, okay? He's got a much bigger arm than Dak Prescott, okay? Much stronger arm. And he's an elite mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts. He can take over a game with his legs. In fact, when you look at his rookie season with the 49ers, he showed that he can make some plays, okay? Had 603 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. And then when you look at the rushing stats, what he did in that one game with these legs, could you imagine if the Dallas Cowboys had a guy that could take over the game with these legs? Well, that's what he showed the ability to do there in his rookie season. Okay, in two starts, okay, he had 38 rushing attempts and 168 yards rushing. That is literally, Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation, that is almost, my goodness, that's almost 90 yards a game rushing from the quarterback. That's what Trey Lance brings to the table. A young guy that's going to be a lot cheaper than Dak Prescott. A guy that can help you, honestly, win football games, okay, because of what he brings to the table. And we already know the Cowboys can win without Dak. Why? Because of Cooper Rush. The Cowboys were 4-1 with Cooper Rush without Dak Prescott when they had Dan Quinn, and that defense was getting those takeaways. So the Cowboys can win without Dak. It's already been proven. Okay, it's already been proven. In fact, you could even argue that Cooper Rush played the quarterback position in those games more consistent than what Dak did when he came back and led the NFL interceptions the rest of the year. Until we traded for Brandon Cooks and he had 2 number 1 receivers again, he looked like crap. He looked like the 2017-2018 Dak Prescott that a lot of Cowboys fans were bitching and complaining about, and they wanted to change quarterbacks. Okay, I remember it plain as day. That did not change until we traded for Amari Cooper. Those are just the facts. Okay, now Dak's got a big fan base. I get it. Okay, but I know what has happened. Okay, over the last 8 years or so down there in Dallas. Okay, when you look at his stats, when you look at the receivers we've had, when you look at Dez Bryant got the blame for him. Then the Cowboys had to trade Amari Cooper. Okay, then there's that locker room. He said, she said stuff. Okay. My goodness. And then Dak didn't look good at all. Okay. Until we traded for Brandon Cooks and got him another number 1 receiver, or at least a solid number 2. Hey, I think the writing's on the wall. Cooper Rush didn't have all that help, did he? Cowboys were 4-1 with Cooper Rush, and he didn't have T.Y. Hilton out there. The Cowboys hadn't even picked up T.Y. Hilton at that point. Let that sink in. T.Y. Hilton was not even part of the Cowboys at that point. But Dak had T.Y. Hilton when he came back, okay? And also Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup was still overcoming his injury from the year before. Y'all remember that? Yeah. So Cooper Rush didn't have a healthy Michael Gallup. He didn't have T.Y. Hilton, okay? He had CeeDee Lamb and he had Noah Brown. So everybody wanted to bitch and complain when Dak was playing like crap, okay, leading the NFL in interceptions, but they refused to acknowledge he had more help than what Cooper Rush had. Cooper Rush only had Noah Brown and CeeDee Lamb, okay? He didn't have Michael Gallup out there healthy. He didn't have, T.Y. Hilton and all those guys out there like Dak did when Dak came back, okay? And Dak still couldn't pad his stats until the Dallas Cowboys traded for Brandon Cooks, okay? Even though Dan Quinn's defense 2021 and 2022 led the NFL in takeaways. Right there it is. Both years. In 2022, Dak could not pad his stats, even though Dan Quinn gave him more second and third chances than any other quarterback in the NFL to put up big numbers. All he did was lead the NFL in interceptions that year. So, I'll tell you what, Stephen Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, I feel like, okay, would be better off moving on from Dak Prescott. Don't pay him $60 million or whatever. Don't pay him. The Cowboys, with a good defense, with, I feel like, Trey Lance at quarterback, can win football games. Okay. And I also feel like with Trey Lance being cheaper, with Trey Lance not getting paid $60 million, okay, and the fact that you got a younger quarterback with fresh legs, you got better chances of doing something, okay? That's what I think, Fan Nation, okay? It allows you to put more talent around him. It allows you to, guess what, keep 2 number 1 receivers. It allows you to keep all that. I think Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones may be laying the foundation right now to move on from Dak Prescott, especially when you factor in what's going on behind the scenes right now, okay? With this lawsuit and all that, it's not a good look for Dak, whether he's innocent, whatever. It's still not a good look. Okay, it's not a good look for him. It's not a good look for the Dallas Cowboys. It's definitely turned off a lot of Cowboys fans, okay, in regards to wanting to root for the number 4, especially after what they've seen the last 3 years in the playoffs. So, I wonder what you guys think about all this, though. Do you think Dak Prescott should be coming out and saying, I don't fear playing with another team, okay? And then, pretty much, letting Stephen Jones know, hey, it ain't no big deal, man. Don't re-sign me. I'll go elsewhere. As a Cowboys fan, you know what I say to that? Let him walk. He never wanted to do a long-term deal with the Dallas Cowboys in the beginning. He's obviously not wanting to do one now. So let him walk. And guess what? Go Cowboys. That's all I've got.